It has been a minute since I made a 1001 countdown video. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I am filming a 1001 book countdown. If you're not familiar with the 1001 book countdown, I will leave a card up here for you, or you can go and check out the original video. But basically, I'm reading books off of the 1001 books you must read before you die list and slowly making my way through that massive list. I made it harder for myself because I combined all 5 editions of that book together, which actually gave me 1,300 books to read, and just started my channel a few years ago. When I got close to the 1001 number that I had left. So it's been a passionate project of mine for a number of years. And I have to say, I still love it, even though I haven't been making many videos lately. The reason for not making videos has been around, I got a new job. I had taken a couple of weeks off, and then I have been inundated in that new role and have just been spending all of my time really focusing on that, which is what I should be doing. So this last week, I don't know that I picked up a book even because my brain was just so busy with everything new going on. And hopefully I'll settle into that role a little bit and I can kind of get back to normal with some of my other activities. So it'll be sporadic still for a little bit, but I do have a 1001 countdown for you. But what we will go ahead and do for today is put up the numbers, which are 811, that's the master number that I have left out of that 1,315 that I talked about, and 35. 35? Yes, 35. So what does the bottom number mean? Every year at the beginning of the year, I pre-select 52 books with the idea that I could get that number down to 0. It makes me feel like I'm making more progress on my goal. I haven't made it to 0 any of the years I have been doing this out here on YouTube. I don't know that this year is going to change. I think this year, if I stay on pace that I'm at now, it'll be probably the worst year I've had. But, you know, it's still significant progress towards my goal. I like not being too pressured with it, but I would like to finish the goal sometime in the next 20 years. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I do have a decent update for you today though, which is great. I have more than one book to share. Not nearly as many as I had hoped, but I do have more than one book. The first book that I have is this one, Cutter and Bone by Newton Thornberg. This poor book, look at this. Oh, it had, I took it on a trip with me and threw it in my purse and thought, oh, it'll be fine. It was not fine. It just really had a hard time in my purse. This edition is very, very old, and you can certainly tell. This book was originally published in 1976. It is the only book that Newton Thornberg has on the 1001 list. And this book is weird. So when you read the back of it, or when I read the back of it, I thought it was more like a detective-y kind of a novel. Cutter and Bone, investigating crimes, right? That's kind of what my brain had put me into with this one. That is not what this book is. It's basically a couple of disreputable people that see something. One person sees something and then the other one tries to take advantage of what the other person saw. And it is just back and forth, kind of convoluted, very weird in here. There was apparently an adaptation with John Hurt in it. I would love to watch that adaptation. But I haven't found it yet. But it was odd. It ended up being kind of low on the list. I expected it to be better because the first line, I have to say, the first line in this book is pretty good. It was not the first time Richard Bone had shaved with a Lady Remington, nor did he expect it to be the last. I was like, okay, you're setting up Richard Bone to be kind of an interesting character here. And Cutter is really different because his physical appearance is very, very different than Bones is. So yeah, the dynamic between the two of them and the people in their lives, and then it's just very, very weird back and forth. But it's billed as being more of kind of a thriller rather than a detective-y novel. But I really thought it was supposed to be a detective-y novel. I'm going to say it was okay. It wasn't anything to write home about. I would kind of go, I don't know why really it's on the list. But, I am glad that I read it. But with this book, we do get to go from 811 to 810, and it was on my 2024 list. So that number gets to go from 35 down to 34. Not too shabby. The next book I have is is very old. The next book that I have is actually one of the older books on the 1001 Book Countdown, and it is The Sorrows of Young Werther by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. It's a mouthful. Goethe has actually 3 books on the countdown. This is the first one that I have read. This is an epistolary novel following this young Werther through unrequited love is really what we're talking about. He is desperate to be loved by this particular person, and he is just so dramatic in this story. He is going back and forth. Does she like me? Doesn't she like me? And then he decides in the weirdest way, like how he engages with her after like his love isn't necessarily returned was kind of just a surprise in this particular book. It's a short little book, but it definitely takes some time to kind of work your way through. I am not a fan of epistolary novels for the large part, or for the most part. And this one wasn't bad. I just made it hard for me to connect with him in a lot of ways. There does have a very difficult ending to it. Just a lot to it, and that it was written in 1776, because you could feel like it was written today in a lot of ways. I didn't feel like it was super dated. The date that it was written did not come across necessarily in this particular version of it. So yeah, it was also originally published in German. So I'm not sure when the translation was done. So that could also be part of why it feels more modern, is just because of the timing of the translation. But yeah, with this particular book, I do get to go from 810 to 809. Amazing. I'm almost 200 books through my overall since I started my channel, which is phenomenal. And it was on my 2024 list. So that number gets to go from 34 down to 33. Okay. Not too shabby. And I have one more book. This one is actually the book club pick for the 1001 Book Club in the month of June, and it is Love's Work by Gillian Rose. This book is the only book that Gillian Rose has on the 1001 Book Countdown. This is a wonderful NYRB edition. If you're curious, if you're not familiar with the editions, they're very easy to spot because they have a square in the center of their books, of their covers. Every cover has kind of that similar style, or at least every book has a similar style to it. So this book I was on the struggle bus with, because it is, again, a short little book. It was the disappointing pick for the 1001 Book Club for sure, because it is a memoir, but it's very disconnected. And I had trouble really following anything with it, with the characters in it or the people in it. And she had written it, if I remember correctly, when she was dying of cancer, is what I remember. Yes. She had written it when she was dying of cancer. I was expecting to be like pulled in emotionally with it, but the format of it and the tone of it just didn't allow that. Like, I didn't get anything or get any kind of emotional connection really at all with the characters, which is really too bad. I wanted to love this particular book and it just didn't work out. So yeah, very disappointing. I wouldn't recommend this one because it's just a weird little book. Just a strange little book. But it was the 1001 Book Club pick. Like I said, it was a bit of a disappointment. So, but with this book, we do get to go from 809 down to 808, and it was on my 2024 list. So that number gets to go from 33 down to 32. Awesome. Incredible. 32. It's basically the end of June. I should be at 26. So I'm 6 books behind. I mean, that's a lot of books to be behind. And my brain still isn't really allowing me to read much. So I don't know what this year will look like. I don't know if I'll make it out of this little hole I've dug myself into, and just see kind of what happens. As far as what's up next, I don't have a book here on my table or on my desk. As far as what I'm kind of selecting, I do have some pulled to the side, but I'll be building my July TBR out very soon, and I'll select some other books. Let's see what I can pull together in there and see what I can find as far as something that will energize me to be reading. So we'll see what I end up pulling for the next month. I don't know. Other books that I'm reading, I also don't have anything on my desk for that. That just tells you how different this reading month has been from others. What are you reading right now? I'd love to hear that in the comments down below. Again, I apologize for my absence. There's just been a lot going on. Anyway, but as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.